Before I get started, I'd like to kindly ask that you hit the like button and please subscribe to the channel for more content just like this.
Come on. Do it. Do it!
A Quiet Place Part 2 is directed by John Krasinski. In fact, he's the mastermind behind this whole story in general. Full disclosure, when I first saw the original, I did enjoy it, but I also noticed a few logic gaps and a few cliche things that kind of just didn't make me want to put it on a pedestal like most other people did. That being said, when I went to watch A Quiet Place Part 2, I actually enjoyed it a lot more than I did the first one. This is a very natural progression in this story, and that's why I really love the idea of calling it Part 2 rather than just A Quiet Place 2. I think that's something that modern sequels don't do enough of. This really is two parts of one larger story.
That makes sense.
The movie starts with a flashback, and I've always said that I enjoy the shit hitting the fan portion of the story that sometimes we don't get in these types of movies. It's really interesting to see someone's life change drastically, almost in the blink of an eye, because of some extraterrestrial event or whatever the case may be. During this flashback, they also have callbacks, which I guess you could consider foreshadowing to the events of the original movie. Like when John Krasinski's character is walking through the store and the camera lingers on the toy that's sitting on the shelf. So if you watch the original A Quiet Place, then you know the significance of that toy. Also, this gives us a first-hand look of the family very quickly figuring out exactly what it is that attracts these creatures. It shows you how they came to realize that sound is key. That being said, seeing these creatures attack for the very first time, it's very brutal and quite frightening in areas.
Dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
Once we jump forward over a year later, we catch up with a husbandless wife and 3 fatherless kids. And these are characters that we just got reintroduced to in the flashback, so it makes the start of the movie that much more impactful. Don't get me wrong, John Krasinski's presence is kind of missed, but I'm okay with him not being there because I think it allowed him to focus on the story more, both with the writing and the directing, because I think this is a much more finer-tuned movie, in my opinion. Plus, there is a new character that's kind of introduced in his place, and he's played by Cillian Murphy. This was honestly one of my favorite additions to Part 2. I just really dug this character, and Cillian Murphy is able to show off his underrated acting abilities. He's a damaged character, he's a reluctant character, but he really does fill that void left by Krasinski pretty well. What I like about A Quiet Place Part 2 is that everyone in this movie has a part to play. And this is due to the tough situations created by the world that they now inhabit. The deaf girl wants to continue her father's work, and she wants to find community. She wants to find refuge. She wants to find some level of normalcy. The mom just wants to keep her children safe. This creates some very tense situations that honestly had me holding my breath right there in the theater.
I'm feeling woozy here.
Which leads me to my next point. This is the type of movie that needs to be seen in a movie theater. It's all about that atmosphere, and if you're lucky enough to be sitting in a silent movie theater, it really makes you feel like you're in the movie. It's honestly a very unique experience that you can't really get with any other movie. So I have to give props to John Krasinski for creating this world and realizing how he could use the audience's viewing experience and have them connect with the movie on a different level. In this movie, they also explore the idea of how this world has created some not so nice people as well. This is not a new concept, but it's always interesting to see the worst of people even in these very difficult situations. People just suck sometimes and there's no getting around it.
Just a sick world we're living in. Sick people.
One of my biggest complaints about the original A Quiet Place was the reckless decision to have a baby in a world like this where you're not supposed to make noise. And this movie doesn't do anything to make me feel better about that situation, but they do go to great lengths to show all the complications that come along with having a baby in this type of environment. And honestly, that's where some of the most tense situations come from. I also have to mention they do employ the effect where they have everything go silent like you are the deaf girl in that situation. And again, it's putting you in her shoes, and it's done in a very effective way that make those scenes very memorable.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
I'm not going to get into spoilers in this review, but the climax of this movie is very effective. We have these different characters in different situations, but what's happening in one situation affects what's happening in another situation. It's difficult to explain without going into spoilers, but just know it lends itself to creating a thrilling finale, and honestly, it's just satisfying to see how things play out. Bottom line is, kids have to grow up sooner rather than later in The Quiet Place.
Then why the fuck didn't you say so?
Overall, I thought A Quiet Place Part 2 was an improvement on an already solid concept. Part 2s usually don't live up to the original, but this movie exceeded my expectations. This movie does exactly what a Part 2 should do. It continues the story while building on ideas put forth in the original in very logical ways. It's got likable characters, it's got great tension and atmosphere. I thought John Krasinski's writing and directing was much more fine-tuned this time around. That's why this movie is going to be highly recommended by me, and that's why I'm going to give it the Pleased Palpatine. Good. So if you've seen A Quiet Place Part 2, let me know what you thought about it in the comments down below. As always, please like, comment, share, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell for notifications, and I'll see you next time right here on Real Shift. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Y'all be cool. Nah.